We are less than 48 hours away from this epic AFC clash for the number one seed. The Ravens and the Dolphins. Also talked about it, potential legacy game for Tua, as well as could this be the game that decides the MVP race. Also, Jalen Waddle trending towards being out. Robert Hunt, he's listed as doubtful. We got a lot to talk about. Even Jalen Ramsey popping up on the injury report. So we got a ton to go over, a ton to talk about. Smash that like button. Let's preview this Week 17 matchup between the Dolphins and the Ravens. Let's get into it.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field on the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. It's going over the touchdown again. Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one on this Friday the last Friday before the new year, the last Friday of 2023. So welcome all y'all in. Technically the last preview show of 2023, as we'll be into 2024 when we preview the Bills game next week and get on to the playoffs. Do me the favor, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new as you're coming through. Appreciate each and every one of you. Man, the hype is real, right? We didn't think we could reach, well, we knew we'd reach those levels after the Dallas game with this game on the docket, but now we're sitting here and we're living it. We are living it, man. So, hey, shout out to the Miami Dolphins for bringing some thrill to our final, the final weeks of December and the final weeks of 2023, man. It's a lot better. It's a lot better than us last year, where we were wondering, are we even going to get in with Tua out, all the injuries out, et cetera, et cetera. A lot better of a situation where it's clinched and now it's targeting that number one seed, right? So, man, shout out, and I got a feeling we might see a little, are we going to see some more Claypool this weekend, some more Chase Claypool? Because, Mike McDaniel spoke pretty highly of him today, and, he said all he's done is gotten better, and talk about how he's, acclimated to the offense and the team, how he's been willing to contribute on special teams. Are we going to see some more Chase Claypool as this season progresses here into the playoffs? I mean, that's always been something we've, theorized here on the channel. Is that going to be the case? Is this going to be a thing of where they're waiting for him to be fully acclimated and then we see him kind of unleashed at the end of the season a little bit? I don't know, but Mike McDaniel spoke pretty highly of Chase Claypool, hoping we do see some Claypool. I mean, let's chase the Lombardi, baby. You see what I did there? And, I mean, with what we'll get into, it's pretty obvious now, but with Jalen Waddle out this weekend, we're going to need guys to step up. Chase, step up. Barrios, step up. We are going to need guys to legitimately step up. All right? JJ Tucker. I feel your pain, JJ. I feel your pain, JJ. JJ says, all right, guys, I have a dilemma. I got a Tyreek jersey for Christmas. I've worn my Tua all season. Should I switch it up or stay with Tua? Don't want to jinx anything. Listen, I got a Tyreek a white Tyreek as well for Christmas. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Wear what you wore against the Cowboys. Right? So you'll see me in my Tua. Wear what we wore against the Cowboys. That's what you got to do, bro. You can't touch it. Like, I want to clean up, this even a little bit more again. And I'm not cleaning it up now until this. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the, because the playoff beard's coming out. So you got to wear. Ronnie says he wore a white t-shirt and boxers. Well, there you go. That's what you're wearing, brother. That's what you're wearing. All right, just don't come on the live, the post game live after the show and that. You know what I mean? I mean, you can if you're here. I ain't trying to see your flamingo boxers though, brother. Just not trying to see them. Appreciate you though. Hey, brother. At least you didn't say a white wife beater and a you didn't say you were in a wife beater and a freaking a G-string. Could have been worse. You cannot ever, brother. This guy, Chuck Fins Up says, my girl got me a signed Tua jersey for my birthday yesterday. I don't know if I'll ever wear it. Why would you ever wear it, bro? You put it in a frame. Come on, son. Scotty says he wore his 2002 Ricky Williams Aqua game jersey, and every time he saw Tua Tagovailoa make an amazing pass, you know what Scotty said to himself? God damn, we had Jay Fiedler during that era. All right? Listen, can I tell you this all the time, man? His family's good, Chef Jew. How's you and the wife doing, brother? How's married life treating you? I'm going to tell you this one thing. This is why I always go back. Like, listen, here's my thing. There's people out here who say they've been Dolphin fans since Marino was around, and I don't believe it. I don't believe it, man, because if you watched Marino through his era, right? I was born in 85. I started watching football like right out of the womb, basically. But, I remember the 90s very, very well. And I remember the Jags game in 2000 very, very well. I remember the rookie era very, very well. And, man, that's why people who, first of all, a couple things to take away from the Ricky, because it just sends me flashbacks. If you were a fan back then, I don't know how it doesn't send you down memory lane when you hear Ricky, because they miss each other by like 3 years. Like, Marino and Ricky missed each other for 3 years. And that Achilles really changed, Marino. But if we had the technology we had today, Marino could have played potentially into his 40s with a running back like that. Like, he was so close to going out like Elway did. That's what sucks. Because if we had, oh man, people who complain about Tua obviously never watched Jay Fiedler. All right? You want to see a bad quarterback hinder, well, I won't say bad. You want to see an average quarterback hinder a loaded offense and a stacked defense? Go watch the Fiedler era. Talk about a guy who would throw interceptions at the worst time. Oh my God. I used to pull my hair out with that guy. You go look at the ESPN cover. Jay Fiedler, you still look at it to this day, and you still, even if you never watched that era, you're going to point to the guy with the big ears and say he doesn't fit here. Like, if you were a Marino fan, if you lived through the Marino era and the Ricky era, you should appreciate Tua even more. I'm telling you. Like, it's not even close. Not even close. Man, listen, I remember being hyped when we got Trent Green. Because we were so desperate for a quarterback, and we still had pieces, and we still had that defense. And Trent Green was a damn good quarterback until the concussion stacked up. And all I could think to myself was, man, if he could just capture some of that and stay healthy, this team can do damage. Like, I remember being, never mind Khalil Lemon and those guys, I remember being desperate about Trent Green. So, Man, like I remember being excited about Trent Green. Man, painful stuff. Painful stuff, man. You know? And then you got everyone, I think everyone overly praises Chad Pennington. I mean, he was good, but the guy didn't throw 20-plus touchdowns, first of all. You know, and I know he finished number 2 in the MVP voting, but, I mean, throwing 19 touchdowns. Ronnie Brown was the MVP of that offense that year. Ronnie Brown. That Wildcat was why we did what we did. That's exactly, like, I'm going to say that. That Wildcat, Ronnie Brown, that's my boy. I love me some Ronnie Brown, man. I remember when I caught my Aqua, Ronnie Brown, when his jersey just came out. Man. Anyways, I digress. Ronnie was my boy, though. But I'm telling you, man, if we could have, you know, and I think I talked about this a couple of nights ago. Was it on After Dark or whatever? If this team could have, you know, got through that first half of the season, first 10 games of the season, with a good record in the playoff hunt, and then you unleash, you know, the Wildcat for the final 4 games heading into the playoffs, and then, man, if this team was good enough to be in a position where they didn't need to be so gimmicky, and they could have unleashed the Wildcat when they're already in a winning position, and in the playoff hunt, and rode that into the playoffs, we would have rolled through we could have actually rolled, I think we could have rolled through the playoffs pretty hard. I think that they unleashed the Wildcat too early that year. You know? So, like I remember the Drew Brees, Culpepper stuff, and I knew Culpepper. I knew that was a bad decision. You just felt that. You knew that was bad. You knew that wasn't going to go well. Man, I remember watching Ricky up here in the CFL. You know? I remember, and he was not good in the CFL. Let me remind you. It's not good up here at all. Anyways, that's my trip down memory lane. All because someone said they wore their 2002 Ricky jersey. Just takes me there. Yeah, that Wildcat, man. I'm telling you, just too early. We had some bad quarterbacks, man. And then you see, like, Dan Marino record. Shout out to McDaniel on Hard Knocks. I forgot to mention that. When he said F your records, Dan, I almost fell out of my chair laughing. That was one of the best trolls I've ever heard. And when Dan gave them the isotoners, oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing my face off, man. Oh my God. Paul Bellini says Joey Harrington was the worst of them. Nah, I wouldn't say go that far. John Beck was worse than Joey Harrington. At least Joey Harrington won that Thanksgiving game that, you know, against Detroit. At least he won that game. I remember being so hyped for that game. Skipping school because up here in Canada, we have our Thanksgiving in October. Y'all have yours in November. So me and my boys skipped school and watched that. Yeah, I watched Joey Harrington. David Beck started 4 or 5 games. He was 1-3 or 1-4 out of BYU. 25 or 26 when we drafted him. Cleo Lemon was worse. Trent Green ended up being pretty freaking bad. I mean, the guy couldn't stay healthy. Jesus Louises. We had some pretty. I mean, Brian Greasy was not good. Like, it was bad. Oh my God. Yeah, the Pat White cameo might have been the worst. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. Dude, Ricky the GOAT. People will deny it nowadays, but I'll be the first to admit it. There was low-key hype about Beck when he came out. There was low-key hype. Just like there was low-key hype with Chad Henne in his arm. And then we all witnessed Chad Henne overthrow Ted Ginn, and we're like, how the hell do you even do that? Ray Lucas was bad. Hey, at least we dodged, at least we dodged Matt Flynn, and Seattle had to bite that bullet, right? Oh, my God. We almost took that one because of Philbin. But there's been some bad quarterbacks, man. There have been some bad quarterbacks that have come through. Just when you take it, man. Crazy when you look back and see what we've been through to where we are now. Yeah, Beck was old. He was like 26 as a rookie because he went and did the mission, right? Because BYU, he went on like one of those mission retreats for whatever. I don't know. Anyways, let's get into this. Let's preview this game. We got a ton to go over. The injury report is extensive, and there's a new name added to it. So let's go. So let's start off. Hey, you're heading to the game because I know, like, there's Dolphin fans always travel to every game. So you're good. The gusts are to be determined, but looks like there's only going to be 8-mile-per-hour winds out of the southwest. I mean, 51. Feel like 48. Some clouds. You're pretty much good, right? Cloud cover could get up to about 50%. But, I mean, hey, for December 29th in Baltimore, I mean, could be worse, no? Could be worse, no? So that's about what, for all you who are watching and rock with Celsius, it's about 10.5 Celsius for you right there. So, you know what that is? I'm going to tell you what that is in Canada. That's a brisk fall day. That's not even a winter day. That is a brisk fall day. Could be a lot worse. Could have been Buffalo in December. But I'm going to tell you this much. After what Tua looked like last week, what Tua looked like last year in December in the snow, I ain't worried. You know, that's hoodie weather up here in Canada. I might not even put on a jacket for that. I'm in a hoodie. You know? Just saying. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Appreciate all y'all for coming through. It's Friday. I know what it is. Man, let's go. I'm going to be live on Sunday. Let's go. Let's get this W. Man, I can't wait. I just want to wake up and for it to be this game. I'm ready. I'm ready. All right, here, let's get into this because this is a big topic of discussion. A lot to go over on this today. Like, that's a lot of names, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're talking 15 names on the Dolphins side. And on the other side, you know, we're talking like another 12. Sorry, 13. So we got like 28 names on this, and we got some updates for y'all, okay? Let's start at the top. Jalen Waddle, out. Did not practice. That's pretty much what we figured. By the way, I'm going to have a new 3 Takes episode coming for Patreons tonight. Be out on the lookout for that one, ladies and gentlemen. Patreon. And then for the stuff that I drop in that's consequential, I will make a members only channel members only YouTube post under the community page. So be out on the lookout for that. All right, Jalen Waddle out. Robert Hunt doubtful. Now Jalen Waddle. This matters. Obviously, we know Jalen Waddle, he's a big play machine against the Baltimore Ravens. We'll get into it a little later into my keys, but he's a big play machine against the Ravens. He's a guy who shows up for these games. That matters. All right? That matters. Now, Robert Hunt. Robert Hunt is doubtful. And could this be a thing where he's active and doesn't end up playing? Man, again, it is what it is. I think Robert Hunt's unlikely to play. Now, he could wake up and feel good. But, all right, there's Jalen Ramsey has now popped up on this. As you can see, he's dealing with an injury. He was limited today. I mean, he wasn't on the Wednesday or Thursday injury report, so did this happen in practice? Xavier Howard with his hip and thumb, questionable. Javon Holland, questionable. Raheem Mostert, questionable. Cotton, questionable. Eichenberg, questionable. Jackson, questionable. Now, coaches have said they expect Mostert to play. Mike McDaniel himself said he's optimistic about Holland playing this weekend. He's missed the last 4 games with sprained MCLs in both knees. Jackson, who was active last week but didn't play, Kendall Lamb did, said he's pretty good about playing. He feels pretty good about playing Sunday. He feels great. Howard and Eichenberg have been playing through their injuries. Now, the thing about Hunt, and I had people optimistic today about Hunt, is he actually increased his workload at practice. But he's still listed as doubtful. He's not coming back till the Bills game if it means something, or the first playoff game if the Bills game means nothing. If we clinch the AFC East, I don't think Hunt's back. Now, and he'll be back in the playoffs. Again, Tua, for everyone who was worried about him being limited with a thumb injury on his throwing hand, an oblique injury, he took all the first team snaps, and he was going to play. He's good. He doesn't even have an injury designation anymore. Tyreek Hill, Robbie Chosen, and A-Chan do not have injury designations. They're good to go. So, extensive injury list. Jalen Ramsey pops up. He's good to go. I wouldn't worry about it. So, that's where we're at with this. That is where we are at with the injury report right now. It's extensive. Okay, on the flip side, because I know people are going to ask about, on the flip side, there is some info here on the flip side with the Ravens. All right? Because there were some developments with the Ravens today. All right? So Zay Flowers, he returned to practice Friday, right? He had missed the past 2 days with his calf injury. Here's the thing that's interesting. Kyle Hamilton did not practice after being limited yesterday. And Brandon Stevens, one of their better cornerbacks, didn't practice for the second day in a row. OBJ was also absent today. So that is kind of an interesting development. Kyle Hamilton might not be good to go. Doesn't look like he's going to be good to go. He's questionable, but that's because he got in a limited session. And Brandon Stevens, he's questionable. He didn't practice. I don't think they're going to have Brandon Stevens, and I don't think they're going to have Kyle Hamilton. Now, Odell Beckham even says here he did not practice his injury-related rest. No one else got that listing. Zay Flowers is going to push to go. That's clearly obvious. Jalen Amar Davis is out. Looks like Brandon Stevens is going to be out. They've got Kevin Zeitler back. He's good. And it looks like Kyle Hamilton's not going to be good to go. It looks like, you want my opinion? That tells me Kyle Hamilton had a setback. If you go from limited to did not practice, Kyle Hamilton had a setback. And that is huge, ladies and gentlemen. That is massive. That is massive. This O-line gives to a time. Woo! I'm telling you, man. That is massive development. Massive development with Kyle Hamilton basically being downgraded from limited, starting the week off, did not practice, then goes to the limited session, then goes back to did not practice. Sounds like he had a setback. So, wow. That is absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. Huge development on the flip side. Zay Flowers will be back. That's really the only guy I'm worried about from them. I'm not even really worried about their run game. But with no Brandon Stevens and no Amar Davis as well, their secondary's banged up. Banged up. Just saying. So let's look at how these two teams compare when you stack them up against each other. All right? You got Miami. They're number 1 in total offense. The Ravens, they're 5. Now, the Ravens, they have the 21st passing offense. The Dolphins have the 1st. All right? Ravens are averaging about 212.4 yards per game. Dolphins are averaging 275.1. The Ravens, they have the number 1 rushing offense. The Dolphins have slipped from being top 2 to they are now number 5. Over the last couple of games, they have not reached 100 yards. 136.4 yards per game, up against 159.7 yards per game. Scoring offense, you got the number 1 against the number 4 scoring offense. Dolphins, they're averaging about 30.87 points per game. Ravens, they're averaging about 27.8 points per game. So it's like a 3-point difference. It's that close. Sacks allowed. Look at this. Dolphins, they've only allowed 27. That's third best. The Ravens, they've allowed 36. That's still top 15, 13th best. Third down offense. Look at this. Number 9 against number 10. 42.4 conversion clip for the Dolphins. 42.2 conversion clip for the Ravens. Total defense, you got the number 4 defense against the number 6 in total defense. You got the number 10 passing defense against the number 6 passing defense. Listen, you think I'm worried about this? Let me ask you this. Do you think I'm worried about this? Because, I mean, you can say, you can say all you want. That's fine. Go ahead. Say all you want about the offense of the Jets. That's cool. Knock yourselves out. But here's where you aren't going to get me. Here's where you're never going to get me. Check this out. Cowboys last week. They were the number 4 pass defense. And they were number 19 against the run. All right? The Jets. The Jets were the number 2 pass defense, number 5 total defense, and the number 8 scoring defense. Listen, you can say what you want about the Jets offense. I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, don't forget the Cowboys were the number 5 scoring defense as well. Number 6 total defense. Number 4 passing defense. Technically, we faced better passing defenses the last 2 weeks. Technically, we have. That's a fact. That's like indisputable. You can say whatever you want. It might not sit well with the haters. I don't care. But the fact of the matter is we go through the team comparisons every week on this channel. All right? We don't just go over it because someone posted it for the first time on Twitter and we saw it. We've been going over this since I've been doing these preview shows since 2020. We've been going over these charts. Okay? And I'm going to tell you this right now. I am worried. Again. We just faced top pass defenses and top defenses in total yards and top scoring defenses in the Jets and in the Cowboys. Why should I be worried right now? Why? Tua put up 293 yards against the Cowboys. Right? The Cowboys had the number 4 passing defense. They're only allowing 176.9 yards heading into that game. They had the number 5 scoring defense. The Cowboys were only allowing 18.9 points per game. We outscored that. We put up 22. The Jets. Right? The Jets. Again, number 5 total defense. Number 2 against the pass. Number 8 scoring defense. They allow 167.2 yards coming into that game against Tua. They were allowing 19.8 points per game coming into that game against Tua. Tua has outscored the New York Jets in 2 games 64-13. In 2 games, he put up 467 yards. What are we talking about here? Why am I worried about the Ravens? Tell me why I'm worried about the Ravens. Because their takeaway numbers got inflated by Brock Purdy? Stop right now. So people are going to try and fearmonger you. Oh, it's actually a good defense. Oh, it's a good defense. Guys, if you watch me week in, week out, if you watch this preview show week in, week out, you have seen that we have beat good defenses against the pass, and good total defenses and good scoring defenses. We beat top 5, top 6, top 8 ones the last 2 weeks. What are we talking about? I ain't worried here. I am not worried here whatsoever. People are going to try and fearmonger you. I'm not buying into it. I'm sorry. Again, you can say whatever you want about that Jets offense. That defense is good. I just went over the numbers. Cowboys defense, good. I just went over the numbers. I ain't worried. I'll tell you this much. We ain't putting up less than 200 yards against the Ravens. You can bet that. Now, rushing defense. Dolphins, they're 5th. They allow about 90.8 yards per game. The Ravens are 12th. They allow about 103.4. Scoring defense. The Ravens are number 1, allowing 16.3 points per game. Again, what am I worried about here? Tell me. The Jets were allowing 19.8 points per game, only a 3-point difference, and we hung 64 up on them between 2 games. What am I worried about? We're going to score our points. We're going to get our points. Sacks, they have 54. We have 52. So you got the number 1 and 2 defenses in terms of getting sacks. You got the number 5 and number 7 third down defenses. Dolphins only allowing a third down conversion clip of 36.6. Ravens allowing 35.9. In takeaways, look at this. Before Brock Purdy, they were middle of the pack. Right? Do the math. So, that boosted them to number 1, 26. Dolphins are 12th with 23. Giveaways, Dolphins have 20, which is 17th best. Ravens, they have 16, which is tied for 7th. Listen, again, I ain't worried. We done seen numbers like this over the recent weeks from our opponents. People haven't been watching, though. People see it for the first time on Twitter and go, oh, look at the comparisons. We do it every week and been doing it every week since I done started this. So we ain't scared. Like Bone Crusher, we ain't scared. Franklin and Son, welcome to the Ring of Honor, sir. New member. Russell, Jalen Ramsey on the injury report with a knee injury now. Franklin, member for 21 months, says take away those 5 interceptions and the fact the rushing defense gives up 4.6 yards, we can beat the Ravens. I agree, Franklin. 110%. Dr. Draft says Kyle Hamilton missing the game would be big. It looks like that's where we're trending. Shout out to Hugo. This is his first super chat. Do you think McDaniel watched the Ravens 49ers game and compared defensive scheme versus our similar type of offense? No, because if we got down 21, we're not doing what Shanahan's doing, right? Like, listen, I don't want to word this like it's an indictment on Brock Purdy because I don't want to take away from anything Brock Purdy has done. But you see the screen game when we need a first down or when we just need, when it is first down and we just want to get some yardage. Guys, they were going to the screen game when they were down 21. We're pushing the ball, right? We are attacking. And here's another thing. I do hope he watched one thing, though, Hugo. I hope he watched how Kittle was eating. And I hope he watched that Shanahan went away from it. It wasn't so much the Ravens took it away. It was Shanahan went away from it. And you saw what Smythe did up the seams, which I've been talking about for weeks and weeks, that we don't threaten the seams enough. We need someone to threaten the seams. We just need that. That's, I think, a missing piece to this offense that could make us indefensible. I hope he was watching what Kittle was doing and he's saying to himself, let's get some of that out of Smythe. I hope he's saying, let's get some of that out of Smythe. Because you saw a lot of key chunk gains from Smythe against the Cowboys up those seams. And that was really the first time this year it had been featured to that extent. Kittle was doing it and getting it going against the Ravens, and Shanahan went away from it. I think you can expose him. I hope you can expose him. So, and I think that is a spot where you can expose them, and I hope they get them with it. So, yeah, I ain't worried in the slightest. I ain't worried in the slightest. I appreciate the donation though, Hugo. All right. Oh, guys, you don't have to block. Listen, unless they're rude or whatever, you don't have to. If Raven fans want to come in here and chirp, let them chirp. But if they're rude and using derogatory comments and stuff, handle them like you would anyone. But you don't have to delete messages or block these guys just if they're coming in here chirping. Let them chirp. They're feeling themselves. They're feeling themselves like the players are. I told all y'all. These Ravens players are going to feel themselves way too much coming off that short week in San Fran, and they're ripe for the picking. These people don't remember what we did last year in Baltimore? 6-tub Tua? Huh? What's up? What is up? All right? Y'all don't remember Tyreek leaving y'all in the dust? It's about to happen again. Don't worry. Peace signs are coming. Teams seem to forget the epic collapse they had last year and the epic comeback. Buddy, all I know is who's got their jersey in the Hall of Fame right now? Is it Tua or Lamar? Because I'm pretty sure it's Tua's from that comeback against the Ravens last year. Pretty sure Tua's got his jersey up in the Hall of Fame thanks to that comeback. Thank you very much. Thanks, Baltimore. Huh? Y'all ain't seen that bad of a killing in Baltimore since The Wire was airing. All right? We gave it to y'all. Let's go. All right, let's get into my keys to victory. So, offensively, continue to take care of the football. Tua Tagovailoa has not thrown an interception since November 24th. Just saying. And Tua Tagovailoa has only 3 interceptions since November. So, continue to take care of the football. We just talked about it. Go look at Baltimore. All right? Absolutely feasted off of turnovers. Feasted. Just absolutely feasted. All right? So, we can't let that happen. All right? I mean, look at this. Intercepted, they're starting drives. Look at where they're starting drives, right? Starting drives at the Baltimore 47 off of Purdy's second interception. Starting another drive off the San Francisco 20, and then they only settled for a field goal off of another Purdy interception. Right? Again, starting at the San Francisco 9 after a Purdy interception. I mean, three great drives due to 3 interceptions. 3 great starting positions to their drives due to 3 interceptions. Can't let that happen to you. Remind them, Randy, Tua's 2-0 against Baltimore. Undefeated. Lamar can't get a dub. All right? And remember what we made Baltimore look like and Lamar look like on that first win for Tua. Irrelevant, insignificant. All right, number 2, you got to keep Tua upright against Justin Matabuki and that Ravens pass rush. That's the name of the game, all right? Jadeveon Clowney has 66 pressures right now. Justin Matabuki, I believe he has 61 pressures right now. You got to keep him clean right now, all right? And, I mean, you're dealing with Matabuki's got 12 sacks. Jadeveon Clowney's got 8.5. Kyle Van Noy's got 7. We thought Odafe Owe would have a better season. He's only out about 4. But you got to keep him upright. You just got to keep him upright, all right? Owe, he only has 4 sacks, but he's got 47 pressures. Right? I mean, you look at between Jadeveon Clowney and Justin Matabuki, and then Owe and Kyle Van Noy. I mean, guys, we're talking about like 217 pressures just between those 4 players. And then the third for me is the run game and wide receiver corps. You need to step up in Waddle's absence. I mean, that's just the deal here. All right. You look at the Rams, they gashed the Ravens. Mimic it. Those condensed formations, and Kyron Williams was just gashing them up the middle. It may take a collective effort to make up for the big plays Waddle has always made against Baltimore, like that touchdown, the winning touchdown last year, how he stepped up on that deep breaking out route. Remember that Thursday night game where Tua layered it over the defenders? You're going to need a collective effort here of people stepping up. Mateo says our number 4 ranked defense will win this game. I mean, I think it's going to be a collective effort. I really do. And Mostert, we talked about it yesterday. This is where we need Raheem the Dream and Mostert to step up. This is where we need these guys to step up, right? Achane, we need a big game. Right? He's only cracked 100 scrimmage yards once since he returned in week 13. So he needs to, he could be a huge piece here. We need them to step up here, man. We need them to step up here. And, I mean, going back here to keep Tua upright, this is going to be, we've seen this offensive line take on tough interiors already. Gonna need to show up again. So, offensively, continue to take care of the football. No interceptions in December so far. Only 3 since November. Keep Tua upright against Matabuki and the Ravens pass rush. Right? Jadeveon Clowney, 67 pressures. Matabuki has 61. Not to mention 12 sacks for Matabuki, 8.5 for Clowney. And the run game and the wide receiver corps, you're going to need to step up. Waddle's always had to make plays against the Ravens and always had. So we're going to need a collective effort from the wide receiver corps and the running backs to make up for, obviously, we're going to be missing, some playmaking ability here. And we're going to need them to step up. So, continuing on, let's hop on over. Let's get into the defensive keys for the Miami Dolphins. All right? And listen, kind of just touching on the defense there a little bit for the Ravens a bit more. I mean, in terms of our secondary, right? I'm not really overly concerned with, it kind of goes back to last week, right? When I said, who's going to keep up with our speed? And Stephon Gilmore could not keep up with the speed, right? He just couldn't. That's just it. Look at Marcus Williams. He has 110 passer rating when he's been targeted, right? Now, Jalen Lamar Davis, who's out, 93.1. He's out, though. Brandon Stevens, he has an 80.1 when he's targeted. He's potentially out, right? We've seen Marlon Humphrey get put on the rotisserie before by the secondary, right? Kyle Hamilton, he has a 47.2 passer rating when in his target area. He's probably out. So, it goes without saying, Tua and our receivers should eat. Now, defensively, you have to force Lamar to have to beat you from the pocket for 60 minutes. All right? The fact of the matter is this: his EPA per play is lower from the pocket than outside of it. You have to force him to second and third reads from the pocket. You don't want to get caught in a game where you're letting him run around and play schoolyard ball. You want him, force him. If you lose a game where you keep him in the pocket and you force him to beat you with with his processing and going through his progressions, you can live with that. You're just going to have to force him to beat you from the pocket for 60 minutes. Now, Lamar has been good from the pocket, though it's obviously not a huge sample size this year when he has. Just so you know, there's only 9 players who have a higher EPA in the pocket than Lamar. Just so you know, yes, Tua is one of them, and yes, Tua is much higher than him. Tua is third. Purdy, Stroud, and Tua are the 3 highest. And then Dak Prescott's 4th. So he's 10th in EPA from the pocket, all right? But here's where it is. Now, outside the pocket, all right? Outside the pocket, there's only 4 players who have a higher EPA outside the pocket. Allen, Levis, Browning, and Flacco. And this is before yesterday's game. This is heading into week 16. So, he's number 5 in EPA outside the pocket. He's number 10 in EPA inside the pocket. Gonna have to force him to beat it. And you know what? Because think about it. His ability outside the pocket puts that stress. So when he's in the pocket, he's if you have that defense on their heels with your extendability and your, what you can do outside of the pocket, and as the play breaks down, they expect you to sit into it less, right? So this has got to be a game where you force him as many of those 60 minutes as they have the football. For as many of those minutes, you need to force him to stay in the pocket. You want Lamar Jackson, the decision maker, to try and beat you, not Lamar Jackson, the athlete. That's what you want. You want to try and make Lamar Jackson, the decision maker, beat you, not Lamar Jackson, the athlete. Number 2 for me is Zay. No Zay. Should be an easy day for the secondary either way. And it should be. Who strikes the fear of God into you on that offense? Ask yourself that. Gus Edwards? We faced better backs than Gus Edwards and shut him down. Justice Hill? No. OBJ? Not really. Now, does Isaiah Likely worry me? He can make plays. But Nelson Aguilar doesn't worry me. So, I mean, Rashad Bateman doesn't really get used. He went to the wrong place for sure. So, I mean, Zay Flowers. I mean, I come back to that. This secondary should have their way. You have erased Garrett Wilson. You've erased Terry McLaurin. When CeeDee Lamb was on Jalen Ramsey, erased. Come on. Who worries you? Let me give you their top playmakers. Who worries you? Outside of Lamar. Gus Edwards, Zay Flowers, OBJ, Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman. Who worries you in that offense? No one. Denisha's right. The refs worry me more than the players do. You ain't lying. No lies were told. And then finally, you got to get home and finish plays. You got to get home and finish your plays off, Bradley. Hey? I mean, you should already be holding your coverage. So Lamar, because of how good of a day the secondary should have, you should already be holding your coverage so Lamar doesn't have security blankets. So the pass rush should be able to get there and make him feel uncomfortable. Now, Jalen Phillips has been good historically at pursuing Lamar in the past, but he's obviously not available. Bradley Chubb can't have almost opportunities. Everyone needs to finish off and not let the play break down by Lamar extending. That is how they will shred you. Finish your plays. We can't have a game of almost. You need to finish them off. Period. So, force Lamar to have to beat you from the pocket for 60 minutes. Zay, no Zay, should be an easy day for the secondary either way. And then get home and finish the plays. Those are my keys to victory for the Miami Dolphins as we head into this huge game. And again, for back-to-back weeks, the matchup to watch has got to be the quarterbacks. I mean, this is potentially the MVP race here. Right? This is potentially the MVP race here. Now, you got to add stuff up for Lamar here because, you look at Lamar as a passer, 66.3%, 3,357 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But he's also got 786 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. Right? Tua, he has right now this season so far, as a passer, he has 4,214 yards, a 70.5 completion percentage, 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a 105.4 passer rating, compared to the 97.2 for Lamar. So, you got to add up Lamar stats. And, this is what I went over yesterday. I thought it was so cute how they were adding all these stats together, to make it look like these guys are in the same realm. But when you add Lamar's pass and rush touchdowns, they equal to 24. Still 2 less than Tua. When you add Lamar's rush and passing yards, it's 4,143. That's still 124 yards less than Tua. Tua has a better passer rating. Turnovers are 15 to 13. Lamar has 2 less. And obviously the wins and losses are 12-3 to 11-4. I mean, what are we talking about here? So that's there's a lot on the line. Again, so I talked about this potentially being a legacy game for Tua, right? This is arguably his biggest game as a Miami Dolphin to this point. Over 400 of you in the room. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. This is his biggest game to this point. This is bigger than the win and get in against Buffalo. This is bigger than the game against Tennessee. This is bigger than last week's game. He hasn't had... I will be live streaming on Sunday, Jack. Yeah. He hasn't had a playoff opportunity for that moment because he was hurt last year. This is that moment, Tua. This is that moment. I got to show you guys this because I thought it was... Man, we talk about how great this man is and how big of a difference he is. This is why it's so imperative that Jalen Ramsey is healthy and able to go. Look at this. Dolphins defense since Jalen Ramsey made his debut in Week 9. Look at that. Points per game, second in the NFL. We're allowing 15.7. Yards per game, 258.9. That's first in the NFL. Yards per play, allowing 4.4. That's third in the NFL. And the pass touchdowns and interceptions, 5-9, first in the NFL. Jalen, because he's an alien, Ramsey, baby. Like, wow, what a difference maker. What a difference maker. And, I mean, look at this. Check this out. I saw Keyshawn Johnson and Keyshawn Johnson and Skip Bayless or whatever, talking whatever, on Undisputed. Keyshawn predicted the Ravens to beat us 42-17. All right. The Dolphins defense has allowed 117 points in the 8 games Jalen Ramsey has played, but they're going to allow 42 on Sunday. Please. The Ravens will be lucky to sniff 30. They will be lucky to sniff 30. So let's not sit here and lie to ourselves like the Ravens are going to all of a sudden, put up almost half the points we've allowed since Ramsey's come back. So, I mean, listen, I think, we'll find out more as the weekend goes by because I know everyone's panicking over it being questionable. I know everyone's panicking. But I'm not panicking. We'll let this, we're good. We're good. All right. All right. We're good. But look at the difference this man makes. Now, obviously, we're all going to try and figure out if the injury is the same. We're going to try and figure it out whether, obviously, it's the same MCL. It's the same knee where he had that MCL procedure, and that's going to be what we all want to know. And this could just be soreness, or maybe, and he needed some treatment on it. Who knows? We'll get some more clarity as the weekend goes by, but I mean, just put it in perspective. Look at how good he makes this defense. Unbelievable. What a stud. What a stud. All right, now, really interesting article from Barry Jackson earlier today dealing with the offensive line. I want to go over it with you guys, all right? Check this one out. So, for most of the 21st century, finding offensive linemen outside the top half of the first round of the NFL draft was the Dolphins' organizational blind spot, to the point you sometimes wondered if flipping a coin would have produced results similar to or better than what the Dolphins actually achieved. That's no longer the case. And that important change in the fortune, along with the acquisition of Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa's development under McDaniel, and Raheem Mostert's touchdown festival, ranks among the top reasons the Dolphins' offense is humming after sputtering for most of 2 decades. It isn't only that the Dolphins put together a starting offensive line that allowed the fewest sacks in football when healthy. It's also that they have found most found mostly competent backups who limited a fierce Dallas pass rush to 1 sack and their fewest pressures in a game in 3 years. They will need a similar effort on Sunday against a Baltimore team that leads the NFL in sacks with 54. Despite not having its entire offensive line together since the Philadelphia game on October 22nd, Miami enters Week 17 having allowed the third fewest sacks in the NFL and averaging 5 yards per carry, which is best in the league. Before going further, it's important to note that Tagovailoa's quick release has curtailed the number of sacks allowed. That shouldn't be overlooked, but this shouldn't be overlooked either. The Dolphins 21 months ago smartly signed Connor Williams to a team-friendly 2-year, $14 million deal, then had the foresight to move him from guard to center. PFF rated him the best center in football before his season-ending ACL injury against Tennessee. Despite Terron Armstead's durability issue, keep in mind that he's allowed no sacks and just 4 pressures and 238 pass blocking snaps. No offensive tackle in football has achieved that level of pass blocking success in that many snaps. The Dolphins shrewdly signed Isaiah Wynn, who didn't allow a sack and permitted only 4 pressures and 224 pass blocking snaps at left guard before his quadriceps injury, which is likely season-ending against Philly. No NFL guard has matched that level of pass blocking efficiency in as many snaps this season. They wisely drafted Robert Hunt, who was one of the best right guards in football, before a hamstring injury sidelined him 6 of the past 7 games. They sensibly moved Austin Jackson to right tackle when McDaniel became coach and showed prudent patience in giving him a second season at the position after injuries sidelined him for most of last season. Before missing the Dallas game with an oblique injury, Jackson's pass rush metrics were near the top of the AFC, combined with good run blocking metrics. They made a good decision trying Liam Eichenberg at center since struggling against Buffalo in his first career game at center on October 1st. Eichenberg has been a competent fill-in for Williams in 4 games, permitting just 1 sack and handling line calls. He's been monumental for us, Armstead. He's been as tough as they come, being a very smart guy, putting guys in the right position, IDing correctly. Eichenberg didn't allow a sack against Dallas, despite the Cowboys trying to flummox him with Micah Parsons and others lining up opposite him. They found several overlooked layers in Robert Jones, Kendall Lamb, and as well Lester Cotton. Those 3 backups and Eichenberg have been perfect? Of course not, but they did the job. Cotton had a key block on Tyreek Hill's late third down conversion on a screen pass against Dallas. Jones, a skilled run blocker, had a key block on Jeff Wilson's late third down conversion against the Cowboys, making Jason Sanders' game-winning field goal a shorter one. Lamb generally neutralized Parsons when they went head-to-head and has been a godsend amid injuries to Armstead and more recently Jackson. To understand the significance of all those smart decisions, consider, since Don Shula picked future 3-time Pro Bowl guard Keith Sims with the 39th overall pick in the 1990 draft, the Dolphins have selected 17 guards or tackles in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th rounds. Do you know how many of those 17 turned out to be very good players? 1, Hunt, a Chris Greer second-round pick in 2020. Jonathan Martin, John Jerry, Eddie Blake, and others were representative of the Dolphins' regrettable 2nd and 3rd-round decisions for 30 years. Turns out, none of the offensive linemen selected by Greer in the first 2 days of the 2020-2021 drafts have been busts. Hunt has Pro Bowl potential. Jackson has been very good this season. Eichenberg has evolved into a reliable component who can play all 5 positions. The recent free agent offensive line pickups of Armstead, Williams, and Wynn have played very well when healthy. At one point in October, keeping this offensive line together in 2024 seemed difficult to envision, with all except Armstead seemingly headed to free agency. But Jackson subsequently was re-signed to a 3-year, $26 million extension. It remains to be seen whether the injuries to Williams and Hunt affect their market value. A veteran NFL manager, this is key, guys. This is why I'm reading this article for what you're about to see right here. A veteran NFL general manager told me that he envisions Williams and Hunt still commanding big contracts, potentially north of $10 million a year in free agency in March despite their injuries. He said both have shown enough to warrant significant money. Quality young linemen are hard to find, the GM added. Wynn might need to settle for a deal close to the minimum after missing the final 2.5 months of the season. One league official who spoke to the Dolphins front office emerged from a conversation believing Miami will seek a young tackle in the draft, one who could eventually be a successor to Armstead, perhaps in 2025 or 2026. The Dolphins must make it work with Armstead in 2024 because he already guaranteed 5 of his $13.5 million, because there would be a big cap hit if he's cut. And when he's healthy, there are few better. With the Dolphins $40 million over the 2024 cap, keeping this line together would be difficult, but far from impossible. Keep in mind that 5 starters have combined to permit just 5 stacks in 1,552 combined pass rushing chances. That's exceptional. So after 3 decades of the offensive line being a blind spot over several regimes, the Dolphins have finally seen the light. Credit Greer, his scouts, McDaniel, new offensive line coach Butch Barry, and these players for turning an organizational weakness into a strength. And of course, credit to Tagovailoa for his lightning quick release. So there you go. I mean, right there in front of you, Barry Jackson says, talking to a veteran general manager, Hunt and Williams, even with their injuries, are expected to command $10+ million a year. So, man, that's tough. That's tough. Got to make it work, though. Got to make it work. Got to restructure and make it work. You know, I told you, Regil. I told you, Hunt is going 8 to 12 million. He's in that range. Now, if Hunt wants to come back for 8 or 9 million, sign him right now. But he's going to be looking for 10 plus. Yep, he's got Pro Bowl, all-pro potential in this offense. Isaiah Wynn does too, but he's so banged up, and because of his past, we'll probably get him on the cheap, bring him back, which I've been saying for time. He was one of the most noticeable guys of the dip in our run game when he went out. But there you go. Straight from the horse's mouth. You know, we thought there might have been a chance Connor and Hunt could come back for a little bit less. It's expected the market is not going to dry up due to the injuries. So, let's see how it plays out. Listen, I got to play this clip. Because Terron Armstead, I know we joke around on the channel. We call Tua the Samoan sniper, the throw-in Samoan, the left arm of God, all that stuff. I want you to listen to what Terron Armstead said about him. And this means even more after what we just saw on Hard Knocks, right? So check out what Terron Armstead had to say about Tua Tagovailoa. Remember, this man played with Drew Brees. Remember that.
He's a sniper, stone cold. He's a sniper, man. So his leadership, his energy, he laser focused. He's hungry. He's hungry. You know, he's an MVP caliber player. Putting the team on his back. We go as far as Tua go.
There you go. Put the team on his back. We go as far as Tua go. Calls him a sniper, MVP caliber player. And the quality of player Terron Armstead is, that means a lot. That holds a lot of weight. That holds a lot of weight coming from a player like that who, quite frankly, man, not many better in the game when he's healthy. When Terron Armstead is healthy, I've said this before, I'll say it again, there's not many better in the game than him. There just isn't. So shout out to Terron Armstead. Now, I know y'all want to hear my prediction. So, my prediction, how I see this game going. Listen, I'm taking the Dolphins by a score. I'm taking the Dolphins 31-24. I don't see against this defense how the Ravens are going to put up 30 plus. I think their defense is banged up on the back end. And quick trigger to the offensive line will do just enough. Tyreek's gonna blow that up. I expect Bears to step up. I think we're gonna see the seams threatened a little bit more. Right? Patrick Queen isn't good in coverage. You're trying to get Patrick Queen in matchups with Smythe and expose it. I see the Dolphins winning this game. I really do. 31-24. That's how I see this going. So, yeah. Man, it's going to be a good one, though. It's going to be a good one. Either way you cut it. Johnny Dolphin says 35. I don't know about that, brother. I love it, though. 23-22 says Scotty. Chuck says 30-23. Matthew Cook says 21-10. 27-17. You're killing me, bro. 26. Appreciate that. You're killing me. 26-23, Regal. 31-21 says Hooked Up Joe. 31-17. Close one. 24-20. 24-20. 33-24. Again, Johnny, he says 35-0. He's sticking to it. Chris says, do not defer. 31-24 would be a statement. Would it ever, huh? 17-14, low scoring. I like it. 17-13, Fins for the win. 27-24, 28-24, 28-24, 27-21. Man, over 400 of you in the room. Smash that like button. I got us winning 31-24. It's going to be a great game. I'm going to be live at 1 p.m. for the game, and then we'll be doing the fifth quarter post-game show. I'll be figuring out the time we'll be doing that, but it's either going to be right after the game or it's going to be later on in the evening. We'll figure it out, all right? So be out on the lookout. If anything breaks tomorrow, I'll be live for it. Smash the like button on the way out. I appreciate each and every one of you. You don't know what time it is, baby. Fins up. Let's get that dub. Let's get that 1 seed. And let's let the AFC know it runs through Miami this weekend, all right? See y'all in the next one. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy your Friday.